Welcome to the first in a series of Women's Issues Forums sponsored by the Manatee County branch of the American Association of University Women. Today's forum is a two-part program. The first part is a follow-up to an METV program we did last year about our Scholarship Foundation program. You will meet 3 of the scholarship recipients and hear their stories. The second part is an overview of the 4 forums to follow this one. We will talk about the topics and ask you to let us know what you think about these topics. I am Mary Lynn Parker, a member of the AAUW and the moderator for the series of Women's Issues Forums. With me for the first portion of this program is Sylvia Price. Sylvia is a member of our Manatee County branch AAUW, and she's also a benefactor of one of the scholarships. We're also delighted to have with us 3 of our scholarship recipients. We have Kimberly Quizon, Christine Johansson, and Caitlin Tribble. Welcome, all of you. My first question is to Sylvia. Sylvia, one of the scholarships is named for you. Could you tell us why and how that came about?
I'm a retired professor from the College of Nursing, University of Tennessee in Memphis, and I co-authored a textbook on pathophysiology. And I decided with my earnings from my royalties, I would establish a scholarship in nursing for AAUW.
Fantastic.
And I tell you that over the years of the scholarship recipients, I am so proud that I have done this.
And we have one of those recipients with us today, Christine Johansson.
Yes.
You've received this year the Sylvia Anderson Price Donor Scholarship.
Yes, I did.
From AAUW. Tell us a little bit about what that's meant to you.
It has made the difference in this year's or this semester, because with the college that I'm attending now, Pell Grant is an issue where it's given to you and then it can be taken away. And without the scholarship, I would not be in classes right now because the scholarship kept my classes
and
kept me in school.
How much was the scholarship this year?
The scholarship is $1,000 to be used over both semesters.
Fantastic. What are you studying right now?
Actually, I am in applied ethics and Spanish. In the medical field, you need to be bilingual. So toward the bachelor's of nursing, I need those as prerequisites.
Great. And Sylvia, our other 2 guests are both past beneficiary, have benefited by the Early Risers Scholarship. Could you tell us a little bit about their scholarship?
The Early Risers Scholarship was established by an interest group of the branch comprised of members who play bridge each Wednesday and donate $2 per person for each week they play.
And so they're able to raise about $1,000 a year just doing that, aren't they?
Absolutely. Wonderful idea.
Kimberly, you're a recipient of this particular scholarship. Tell us a little bit about what it's meant to you.
Well, I actually graduated from the University of Florida 2 years ago, and the scholarship really at the time when I was leaving high school and getting ready to go into college, it really helped out with everything. Getting ready to graduate from high school, it's a time that's very hectic. You're moving, you're trying to fill out all your paperwork, and just receiving the scholarship really takes off the financial burden. You don't have to think about how you're going to pay these bills. You already know that your college is going to be secure.
Great. And Caitlin, how about you? You received the Early Riser Scholarship. Just think, these ladies met every Wednesday morning, played bridge, pitched in a few dollars each week, and were able to give you $1,000. What did that mean to you?
A lot, really. I came from a single-parent home, so the prospect of finding the funds to, pursue a college education was daunting, and I was certain that I'd have to take out loans to do anything. So it was, as Kimberly said, really nice to know that it was all taken care of, and this is my 3rd year in college, and I haven't had to take out a single loan or borrow any money at all. So definitely the scholarship from the AAUW has helped in that.
Fantastic. Sylvia, tell us a little bit about a few of the other scholarships that are available.
Yes, we have the Maria Potosky Scholarship. It's named for, established by Vicki Waters, one of our members, and her husband, and it's for pursuing foreign language studies. Then, of course, we have the Marjorie J. Canan Scholarship for Students in Education, and this was established by the branch in honor of our founding mother, Marge Canan. And for generalized study, the June Inman Scholarship is a 4-year scholarship devoted to honor our former member, June Inman.
And I believe she left us a little bit of her estate in her will back in the 80s that provided us with our first scholarship that we were able to give.
Then the John Gerhardt Scholarship was established by Marge Canan in honor of, in memory of her brother. Then, of course, I mentioned the Early Risers Group. Then we have the Manatee County Branch Scholarships, awards to students in 4-year accredited college pursuing a degree at State College of Florida, Manatee Technical Institute, or women desiring to change their career or become economically independent. And we refer to them as women in transition.
Right, and those all come from funds that are raised by the AAUW branch.
That's right.
And I know that we have a couple of other organizations that provide money through us to others, the Rotary Club at Anna Maria, as well as the Manatee Sarasota Fish and Game Association. But I want to hear more of your stories. I'd like to know what your aspirations are, what you're doing now with your lives. So could we start with you, Kimberly?
Yeah, sure. Before I even start, I just want to say, when I attended my first luncheon when I was just graduating from high school, I was amazed at how many people had received these scholarships. I remember bringing my mom and my grandma, and they were already proud that I had received this, but the work that AAUW does to raise the money, it really helps out a lot of people in the county. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, I appreciate your mentioning that, because this past year we gave out 16 scholarships for a total of $14,000 or a little more to women in our community. So what are you doing with your career?
Well, actually, after I graduated from Manatee High School, I went 2 years to, well, it was Manatee Community College at the time. After that, I was able to transfer to the University of Florida. I immediately got into my program, telecommunications, and it's a very difficult program to get into. I believe out of 300 people, they would only accept 40 into the whole entire program to study news. And what I eventually wanted to do was become a news reporter. And now, 2 years later, I'm on that track. I'm actually working at ABC Action News up in Tampa, and it's been a whirlwind. I'm very fortunate. The scholarship has helped out. I'm actually working as a photographer, and also on the weekend I do my own stories. So
fantastic.
So really being able to be witness and see everyone in the organization AAUW, to have these women that inspired you, who had the college degrees, it really motivated me more once I was at the college level with your scholarship to really work harder, and even after graduation, just working to get the job to make everybody proud who helped me out. Great.
Well, Christine, you're a little more mature than just out of high school, yes. I'm assuming.
Returning student. I'm a mom, single mom of 2 children. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. And I brought my daughter to the luncheon as well, and I think it was the best thing that I could have ever done for her, because it opened her eyes to all of these people gathering together in different things like a bridge game or simple things. It didn't have to be over the top, just a little bit every week, and it provided so many women the opportunity, like myself. I've worked in the clerical medical field for 17 years, side by side with doctors and radiologists, and it's time. I'm smart enough to step over and become the nurse and pursue a nursing bachelor's degree. So that's what I'm working on, and it's inspired my daughter to, she wants to pursue law enforcement. She's already looked up scholarships. She's in 10th grade. She's decided what she would get at a high school degree, an associate's degree, or a bachelor's degree, and her goal is a 4-year degree before she enters law enforcement.
So Sylvia, what would we tell her daughter about how she might learn about our scholarship so that she could apply for one?
Well, you can, first of all, they're available through the counselors at the schools. And we have a website, and the scholarship for next year will be on the website probably by December of this year. Let's see, the cutoff date is usually the middle of March. By the time,
I believe it was.
About March 15th, and then 2 or 3 weeks after that, they're informed of when they receive the scholarship, if they receive it. Okay.
Well, Caitlin, how about you? What happened with you when you received our scholarship, and what has your pathway been?
Well, as I said before, it really helped with the financial aspect. And I'm at State College of Florida now, formerly MCC. This is my 3rd year. And I'm likely going to pursue the same thing in the field of maybe world religions, possibly language. I've entertained the idea of anthropology. I think that the study of people is very interesting. But it's definitely been really great to have so much help, especially from the community, and to see that there are so many people out there, interested in supporting the women of our culture, especially.
Fantastic. Sylvia,
Can I ask
do you
a
have
question
some-
of Caitlin,
Sure,
since I know
please.
Caitlin personally? What are you doing in Roser Church, Caitlin?
I'm currently the youth ministry intern at Rosa Memorial Community Church, and I teach the youth, that's middle school age, Sunday school, every Sunday, and every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. we have a youth group where roughly the same group of kids meets up, and I've known them, I want to say I've been doing this about 3 years so far. And it's been really excellent. And there have been many moving experiences with them, and exploring their spirituality, and what it means to not just be a good Christian, but a good person as well. So it's a good journey, and I'm glad to be taking it along with them.
Well, Christine, in addition to being a student, what else? And being a full-time mother, what else do you
I work
spend your
full-time at Manatee Diagnostic Center, and I've been there for 7 years. And I am currently the uniform mom for Manatee High School Marching Band.
Oh,
I
great.
help there. I'm a co-uniform mom. So yeah, time is very limited extracurricular-wise, but you sort of have to know what your children are doing. And I have a daughter that's very involved in her youth group, and I commend you. That is an amazing thing to be involved with, young people, and making sure that they are busy and that what they're doing is important. So it's, a key role, I think, to be a mom, to know where your kids are, what they're doing, and to not be involved in everything, but let them know that you're what their interests are very important to you.
And how do you find time to do your studying?
I get up at 5 o'clock every morning, and I study in the wee hours and start my day, and then take a walk, and then come home and get ready, and then get everybody ready for school.
And who else is at home besides your 14-year-old daughter?
My 9-year-old son, Ethan. So we have one in 4th grade, and one in 10th grade, and one in college.
All right.
So it's a very busy household, but when it's homework time, everybody's serious, they're doing their homework. And they know I have homework as well, so they're very accommodating about that. They are.
Great. And how about you? How do you spend your days?
To be honest, I spend my days working full-time now up in Tampa. I still live in Manatee County, so I'm making the long commute to work, but I found that I'm really fortunate to be in such a great job. There's so many learning opportunities for me that I've been able to take away, and just really fortunate.
Great.
Yes,
Sylvia?
Kimberly. I've known Kimberly since she's been a little girl. So, it's wonderful. And I see the big ABC truck by your house. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, like I said, they hired me as a photojournalist, and I normally go out with reporters, shoot their stories, edit their stories. The big truck that you happen to see outside my house is the microwave truck. I go live with reporters. It's a big truck that I operate. It's kind of funny because I'm one of the smallest photographers in the area, and one of the few female ones also. So.
And don't you have a weekend show?
Yes, on the weekends. They gave me the chance, and they like the stuff that I'm doing, and they've been letting me work on my own stories. Nowadays, they call it a multimedia journalist, and we go out and we shoot our own stories, write them, edit them, track them, and get them on the news. So.
And you love it.
Oh, I love it. I wanted to do it since I can remember. I think it was my very first job choice when I was in elementary school. They had a mini TV production area, and I was involved in that from the first day at Anna Marie Elementary. And actually, I used to intern here at Manatee Educational Television also.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I know. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, I was just reflecting that I pulled out my membership directory because it has our mission statement in the front for AAUW, and hearing your stories has really brought to life for me why we are a part of this organization. I'd just like to read to you our mission. The American Association of University Women promotes equity for all women and girls through advocacy, education, philanthropy, and research. We foster self-development, research, education, and so it's so gratifying to hear your stories and to find out what your lives hold and to know that our group had a part in that. And I know that there are many out there who would like to help women like you as well, and we do have a email address. If they would put that up for us, there's an email address where if you, the viewing audience, would like to participate in supporting our scholarships or would like to consider our foundation as a way to begin a scholarship in honor of a parent or a child or another thing that interests you, or you belong to another organization that would really like to give scholarships but don't quite have the vehicle to do it, our foundation is there for you. And you see the email address there on the screen, and that's where you could email us and get information about how you might contribute to the Scholarship Foundation and also how you might apply for a scholarship. We've got some fundraisers coming up that you might be interested in knowing about too. Sylvia, could you talk a little bit about our major scholarship fundraiser for the branch?
Yes. Our scholarship luncheon, silent auction, is going to be held the first Saturday in February 4th, 2012, and our theme is Mardi Gras. We're just starting to work on it. So keep that date in mind. It will be at the Bradenton Country Club starting around 11 a.m.
Right, so if you're interested in joining us for that, then also email us at that email account, and we'll be happy to see that you get tickets for that event. We also have coming up a cruise that we hope to raise $9,500 towards our scholarship funds. And this will happen in the fall of 2012, but we're asking for people to join us on that cruise. And I believe our crew has some information about that, and perhaps they'll show that to you, the viewing audience. So if you're interested in taking a cruise for a lot less money than what would be typical of a cruise and still make contributions to our Scholarship Foundation, here's an opportunity for you. So we're going to close out the first half here in a minute. Is there anything anyone would like to add before we close up for the first segment and move to the second?
I think, again, I would just like to really thank the organization as a whole. I mean, the time has flown by since I graduated from high school, and the things that I've been able to achieve already with your scholarship. I mean, looking back, there's so much involved with going to college, so many things, so many changes that just once again, this scholarship really secures just one area for you, one less thing that you have to worry about when you're getting ready to take your finals, trying to get into your program. And I know one day, whenever I'm in the position, I definitely want to give back to the community like you all have done.
Absolutely.
It would be a nice thing to do.
Thank you.
Super. Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories, and we'll be right back with the second half of our program. And now to the second portion of our program today, an introduction to the series of forums about women's issues. The purpose of the Manatee County branch, AAUW, is to unite graduates to promote equity, education, intellectual growth, individual worth, and development of opportunities for women and girls. This year, our focus is empowering women. Our voices will be heard. And the METV Women's Issues Forum is a perfect vehicle to talk about many issues of concern to women and their empowerment. With me today are the AAUW members who will produce each of the 4 remaining forums. Suzanne Dickey, Faye Murphy, Vicki Waters, and Juana Welbrock. Welcome.
And for our November forum, the topic will be women's organizations and the empowerment of women.
And can you believe it's going to be 2012 soon? And in January of 2012, we will begin the year with women's mental health issues and empowerment.
Then in March, what we're going to do is look at financial health for women, how we need to empower women in their financial future.
And our final forum of this series will be in April, and it will be on sexual and domestic abuse and women's empowerment.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here to share with our viewing audience what these forums will be about. But we want to be sure that those of you who are watching, if you have any interest in providing us with questions, concerns, suggestions, we'd love for you to email those to us at our email address. So Suzanne, tell us a little bit about how we came up with the topic on women's organizations.
Well, when you look through the history of women's lives, there's very little sense of power until the 20th century. And during the earlier centuries, there were individual women who were able to bring about some significant change, but not a great deal at the political or cultural or social levels. What women eventually discovered was they need to be organized into groups, and that's when they begin to have power. That was one of the first things that struck my mind, that once we come together and we have a clear goal and we know how to go about achieving that goal, we can really change the way the world works.
Great. And Faye, share with us a little bit about how we came up with the topic on mental health for women.
It's just been an interest of mine. I have a daughter, and she has needed some help, and I have found that we do have really qualified people around, and it's a very important issue to women. Women go through depression, hormonal treatment, menopause, postpartum depression, addiction, and even bullying from men. So it is an important area, and we will have experts in the field to talk about it with us on this forum.
Great. Good. And Vicki, could you share a little bit about why we thought that a forum on financial empowerment would be important?
Well, one important part, of course, is the pay equity part of that equation. This is a very important part of what AAUW national and through its branches look at. In Florida in 2009, the average earnings for men was $39,122. For women, only $32,109. That's about $7,000 difference, and it's not only significant in a given year, but multiply that through the number of years that you work and the impact that has on your retirement. And you start talking about significant money. Also, the impetus is to plan for the future. Unfortunately, as everybody knows, women do outlive men. Not sure why that is, but we do. The onus then becomes on good financial planning for those extra 20 or more years where you're going to be pretty much on your own, or you may be, depending on your husband's or your significant other's situation. So part of what we hope to do in this session is to talk about planning for the various phases in life.
Great. Good. And Wanda, talk to us a little bit about why we thought the sexual and domestic violence on women was an important issue to discuss here.
We'll address sexual abuse first of all. With sexual abuse, sometimes it starts on young children, toddlers, babies. Women need to know that there is support out there to help them walk through this process. They need to know that there's a way to report this. And they have support systems in our community so they're not alone. And with domestic violence, this becomes a vicious circle in families at times. Husbands see their fathers beating their mothers, grandfathers beating their grandmothers. We need to work in order to break that vicious circle. And we also need to let women know that they're not alone. There is support systems. There are homes they can go to with their children for safety. They need to know that there are people out there that will help train them. They are not going to be a victim to have to stay in this awful relationship. So we need to start breaking that cycle, and we need to educate women out there about what is available.
Fantastic. So let's kind of talk about what we have planned for each of these forums. Suzanne, what do you have planned for the one in November on women's organizations?
Well, of course, one of the areas that has been enormously important over the years is the political arena, where women were not allowed to vote until 1921. So one of the groups that we hope to be represented here would be the League of Women Voters, who took up the issue of not simply women being able to vote, but women being well educated in the issues before they vote. So we hope to have the president of the Manatee branch of the League of Women Voters here with us. We hope to have someone from a financial group, a financial network, speaking back to Vicky's concern. It's called, it has a wonderful name, SWAT, which is Successful Women Aligning Together. It's, again, a network of women coming together to help one another financially, help one another in business. So that's a second dimension of empowerment. And then our third group, we hope, will be from the Manatee, or literally Bradenton, Women's Resource Center. And this is a group that helps women in all sorts of areas to empower themselves, whether that's getting ready for business, or being better physically capable of doing things, or perhaps being able to handle relationships without becoming a victim. So those are the three groups, and we hope that anyone in the audience that has questions, suggestions, as you say, we would love to hear from you. Let us know what you would like these women to talk about and tell you about.
And we do hope to have a live audience for that forum as well, don't we?
We're hoping. Yes.
Great.
So if you'd like to join us, by all means, be in touch.
Great. And Faye, what do you have planned for the forum on women's mental health and empowerment?
Well, you know, mental health seems to have a stigma attached to it. If we had diabetes or a broken leg or anything, we would go to the doctor and get it taken care of. But people do not always do that with mental health issues. And I think we've seen that the suicide rates have grown over the years. So I'm hoping to have Mary Ruiz of Manatee Glens. It's a mental health and addiction facility. And NAMI is an important force in the community, National Alliance of Mental Illness. So we would have them represented, and perhaps a gynecologist to help us with women's problem that they face. But maybe get the stigma out in the open. If you had diabetes, you would go, and if you have mental health issues, you should go too.
Great.
Super. And Vicki, what's planned for our financial empowerment?
Okay, we hope to have a series of panelists, a financial planner, because as I said before, you know, we really do need to plan ahead to make it through the whole phases. Someone from the Manatee Chamber of Commerce who can talk to us about women in business, I think, kind of following on the SWAT group. Someone with the Farm Worker Education Program at Manatee Technical Institute, because this is a group of people with a special set of problems, probably more critical than those of us who are blessed to have a little bit more money. They actually have a bigger challenge. And then lastly, somebody to talk to us on pay equity issues. We have also, we want to talk about various products that the AAUW has, various programs we put out. One that I think is absolutely fantastic, particularly for the previous group that we heard from, and it is negotiating salaries. this is something that men do, quite frankly, a little better job than we do at. They're more comfortable, pushing it up and getting more when they discuss, employment. So this is to help the about to be graduated college senior actually learn skills of negotiation. So we want to tell everybody a little bit about that as well.
Great. Good. Wanda?
The program I am planning for in April on domestic violence and sexual abuse, I have already contacted someone from Hope Family Service. I want the women in our community to be aware of the safe houses that are out there. I have someone coming from, it's called Domestic Abuse Intervention, and the purpose of their program is what I mentioned earlier, as far as breaking that circle, the cycle of domestic violence that occurs starting way back when children saw their parent or grandparent abuse a family member. I want to have a representative of Manatee County Sheriff's Department. And I also plan to contact and have someone from Manatee Glen's Rape Crisis Center so they can tell women what to do if the tragedy of a rape occurs, so that they know the processes to follow and so they know what to do, so hopefully that person can be convicted of that crime. I hope we can have a live audience. I think that would be very good to give interaction with the people I'm having. And I want questions from our audience and from the community of what they want to hear these people speak about, so that we can address all the concerns of the women that are out there.
So again, we would want them to send us those questions, comments, suggestions to us to the website that's on the screen for those who are looking at this program from home. What would the viewing participants, what do you think they'll gain from participating in our forums over this year?
I was at another taping this morning about poverty in Manatee County, and one of the things that was repeated several times was that we have organizations to help the poor, to help the homeless, and many, many people in the county know nothing about them. People who need their help don't know they exist. People who could be contributing to them don't know much about them. So it seems to me that the various organizations we're talking about here, there are probably a number of people in the county that don't know much about these either. And if they learn a little bit more about them, they might be quite happy to join them, volunteer to help them, or at the very least, learn a little bit more about how to empower themselves, which is the whole point of the theme this year, isn't it?
Yes.
How not to be a victim of your circumstances. And these are a dozen or more ways to help you empower yourself. I would hope that's what they would learn. What do you think?
What I would like to see people learn from the program that I am providing is women, when they have been in a long-term abusive situation, they no longer see their self-worth. They no longer think they could get out on their own and support themselves or take care of their children. Domestic violence is not just being beaten. There is going back to Faye on her mental health issues, women are beaten up in many, many ways, just not physically. They no longer think they could live on their own. They no longer think they could provide for their children. They no longer think they have self-worth. So I want people to come away knowing there are other possibilities out there. I want women who have been sexually abused to become empowered again. They're not, that person that did that awful thing to them. They should be empowered so they can get on with their lives. I have someone that I have dealt with in my professional life that was abused many years ago, many times, by a relative. And she never received assistance. It was never reported. And 10 years later, because she never ever had any assistance to deal with this awful thing that happened to her, she is still struggling. So I want women to find ways to deal with these issues so they don't continue to struggle so badly.
Well, and Wanda, mental health is a part of the whole health.
Yes.
And if a woman feels good about herself, she's going to be less inclined to take abuse and violence in the home. So all these things work together.
Yes.
And we may not all be perfect, but we can strive to at least feel better about ourselves.
And I think one of the things that help you mentally is not having a financial need.
Right.
If you're secure at least in financially, and that's what we're hoping people will come with, some ideas of ways to assure their financial security. Then some of these problems, aren't as severe, perhaps.
Exactly.
Although not the abuse, because that's somebody else's problem, as I see it. But the empowerment part is taking it to yourself and doing something, because we are women, we are strong. And I do believe that. And we need to make sure that those watching, have some guidelines, some help. We can highlight some of the problems and some of the solutions at AAUW and other organizations, quite frankly, in partnership with us. We were in a group that got the Lilly Ledbetter Act passed in Congress. And this essentially allows a woman who has experienced discrimination on pay to be able to sue. And even if the point of the Lilly Ledbetter Act, the main point of it was Lilly Ledbetter, who worked for a Fortune 500 company, didn't know about the discrimination for some 20 years until somebody finally said, of course, that you're not making the same money that the men have been making who were doing the same job that you've been doing. And the Supreme Court at first said, I guess the issue was that they said she couldn't sue. So it was taken and sent back to Congress so that they could correct this, so that in fact there is now, you're allowed to sue at the point at which you find out about your discrimination, because many employers keep their salary amounts secret. So how are you going to know? So this is what Lilly Ledbetter did. Now our challenge for the future is to get a pay equity bill passed, which almost made it last time, but not. So we'll keep pushing for that as well.
This comes back to your original question about, what we hoped people would get out of this. AAUW is very heavily focused on helping young women to educate themselves, or women in transition. And in a sense, these panels are a huge effort at the education of mature women. Well, young women too. But we won't have given up on the educational effort, I think. There's no scholarship involved here, but maybe some wisdom.
Great. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I wanted to, and if you would share your story as well, let everybody know that what we do on pay equity is we track when women catch up with men the following year had they, been at the same salary. And it actually takes until April for women to have caught up salary-wise. So we call that Equal Pay Day. And branches around the state and in the nation celebrate it in different ways. One group on the other coast did a bake sale of cookies, and they gave 2 cookies to women, and I think they took a piece out of one and gave it if the men wanted to buy it, to bring to the point that women get 77% or 77 cents on the dollar to what men make. And so one smart man said, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just have my wife come buy the cookies. No, wait a minute. I think you didn't get quite the point we were trying to make. But I know that on this issue, Mary Lynn Parker did actually write to her congressman.
Right, and my suggestion to the congressman was, when you give out your Christmas money or your birthday money to your nieces and nephews or grandchildren or your sons and daughters, to be sure to give, for every dollar that you give the males, that you give the female 77 cents. And when she says, hey, this isn't fair, you simply say, get used to it. So we do have a long way to go. We often hope that we have come a long way, baby, like the old Virginia Slims ad used to tell us. And we really have. But I think having an opportunity to communicate with our community about these issues will go a long way in helping to empower ourselves and others so that our voices are heard.
Yes. Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I can't think
Well,
of
then let's
anything.
wrap it up for this segment. We want to thank you for joining us for our first series of a Women's Issues Forum. As you can see, we have a provocative series of topics. If you have questions, comments, concerns, ideas to address during our forum series, please email us at manateeaauw@hotmail.com. Also email us if you would like to find out more about AAUW or want to join our branch. Membership is open to anyone with an associate degree, its equivalent or higher. And again, thank you for watching. Look for the next Women's Issue Forum in November.